शांति शांति शांतिः। नमः सर्वेभ्यः। अहं प्रणमामि। अद्य अस्माकं अस्यां व्याख्यानमालायां हरियाणा विद्वत् परिषद संस्कृत कल्याणमित्र व्याख्यानमालायां पञ्चदशे व्याख्याने भवतां सर्वेषां हार्दम् अभिनन्दनं स्वागतं व्याहरामि। अद्यतन व्याख्यानस्य अस्माकं विषयः श्री अरविंद एवं काश्मीर शैव शास्त्र, श्री अरविंदो एंड काश्मीर शैविज्म इति अस्ति। अद्यतन अस्माकं ये व्याख्यान प्रस्तोतारः ते डॉक्टर महेश कौल महाभागाः। एते पोस्ट डॉक्टरल फेलो इंडियन काउंसिल ऑफ फिलोसॉफिकल रिसर्च ICPR इति नाम्ना दिल्ली नवदिल्ली दिल्ल्यां महोदयाः कार्यरताः सन्ति। ते महोदयानां हार्दम् अभिनन्दनं स्वागतम् अस्माभिः क्रियते। एते अत्र व्याख्यानं प्रस्तुत्य अस्माकं ज्ञानवर्धनमद्य विधास्यन्ति। पुनः ये अस्माकं श्रोतारः अत्र समुपस्थिताः डॉक्टर विक्रम शर्मा, पुनः अन्येपि ये महाभागाः इदानीं संयुक्ताः, पुनः ये अग्रे संयुक्ताः भविष्यन्ति, पुनश्च यूट्यूब लाइव माध्यमेन ये तत्र श्रवणं कुर्वन्ति, तेषां सर्वेषामपि अहं हार्दम् अभिनन्दनं स्वागतवचांसि व्याहरामि। इदानीं मया निवेद्यन्ते डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र मोहन मिश्र महाभागाः, यत् ते कृपया अद्यतन अस्माकम् अस्य व्याख्यानस्य प्रस्तावना स्वरूपेण, पुनश्च अस्माकं ये प्रवक्तारः वक्तृस्वरूपेण डॉक्टर महेश कौल महाभागाः, तेषां किञ्चित् वाचिकम् अभिनन्दनं, पुनः तेषां लघु शब्दैः परिचयम् अत्र कारयिष्यन्ति डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र मोहन मिश्र महाभागाः। ओम ओम
ओम दिक्काला जनवचनानन्तचिन्मामूर्तये स्वानुभूत्येकमानाय नमः शान्ताय तेजसे। हरियाणापरिषदः संस्कृत कल्याणमित्र व्याख्यानायां पञ्चदशं पुष्पं तत्र भवता महाभागानां स्वागतं कुर्मः। First, to Dr. Mahesh Kaur. Such a topic, such a theme with the Indian Council of Philosophical Research. Kashmir Shaivism is connected with Sri Aurobindo's writings and his sadhana. In and through the 40 years of life that he spent in Pondicherry up to 1950, when he passed away. I was so happy. It was one of the happiest moments of my life to listen to him that he is actually working on this theme. This joins Kashmir with Pondicherry, the southernmost tip, and Kashmir, and Kailash to Dakshina. So this is such a theme which actually brings us to the Dhammagama Parampara, the tradition, our Vedas and our Shastras, our Nigamas and our Agamas. For Shiva Sutras, they also can be said to be a kind of essence of our Vedic heritage. For Atharvaveda and Rigveda particularly, so all the dhyana, how that works, the metaphysics, the epistemology, and the esoteric tradition that has been handed down to us and to the Saivite yogins. So he belongs to Kashmir. Now he is in Delhi. The postdoc fellow with the Indian Council of Philosophical Research. And he is welcome to the Saivite, and now he is actively engaged in organizing the 700th birth anniversary of Lalleshwari Ralla, was a great Saiva Yogini of Kashmir, and he belongs to such a family, such a tradition which we are naturally proud of. And I welcome to him without taking much time. I am very sorry that for this delay, And although there are a few in the audience, I think some people are with the YouTubes and they will be listening from that end. So now I request Dr. Mahesh Kaul to kindly enlighten us on the theme, that is Kashmir Shaivism and
नमस्कार सर सर मेरी आवाज आ रही है
yes,
हाँ।
audible. Yes, sir.
अच्छा हरियाणा विद्वत परिषद कुरुक्षेत्र यूनिवर्सिटी और आदरणीय प्रोफेसर सुरेंद्र मोहन मिश्रा जी, I am highly thankful to you and your colleagues Ravidas ji and others who have facilitated this in these trying times, and it's such a wonderful experience to interact with you people from this medium. This is again a tantric medium, this YouTube and Zoom and others. Parabhairava has something in mind that he is making us use this tantras, all different instruments for these webinars now.
Yes.
So the topic in itself is more of internalization than of research, I must say, because the Indic tradition, of which we are all learners at different ends, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from Kashmir to Kamrup, all the ends of India are connected by Sanskrit civilization of India. And it was a very different journey in my life to experience this thing. And I feel blessed that gurus like you are just encouraging us. I'm basically a student of management, but I ventured into philosophy by dint of interest in Sri Aurobindo. And as you rightly were talking to me last time on phone, and that there are certain rinas, you can say Pitra Rina on us, and because I belong to Kashmir and after displacement, people become very conscious about their culture, their rituals, their aesthetics, and same happened with me also. And certain things are also in the blood and they at proper time emerge. So it's all, there's no contribution in it. It's all the blessings, or you can say the guidance of the Parabhairava. While going through Sri Aurobindo in my college time, I was very perturbed to see his writings because I could not make out alpha or omega of his writings because he was speaking in such a wonderful plane that it was very difficult for a learner or a simple student for me to internalize his message. And whenever I used to read him, his works like Life Divine or The Synthesis of Yoga or his political writings, they made a very little sense to me from time to time. But as and when the time passed and I went through certain texts in Kashmir Shaivism, or I tried to understand what is actually in it, I could connect the dots. Because if you'll go through the political works of Sri Aurobindo, you will find his evolution in a very different way. Then his Uttarpara speech, his sadhana at even Alipur jail when he was incarcerated for the conspiracy case. And once you see whole of his diaries, which he documented while in his sadhana at Pondicherry, you will see that he has made a very different kind of reading. I had read Vivekananda also, but the experience of Sri Aurobindo, I must say Sri Aurobindo took over from where Vivekananda had left. His whole gamut is that this whole life is divine. This whole life has some purpose. It's not an illusion, it's a reality. And you have to make the divine ascent, and then a descent, then make him ascend. This is actually the yogic tradition of ascent and descent. He made this dyad workable. Jnana, yoga, siddhis and everything, kriya, everything, if you'll see, he integralized the things. The Sankhya, the Vedanta, and the other sectors of Indian philosophy were united by him because all segments were there in Indian philosophy. But what he actually did, he not only integralized them in terms of philosophy, but in terms of practicality. And the more you read him, people say that he's a neo-Vedantist and things like that. But the brilliant thing about Sri Aurobindo is that he practicalized the things. He gave us the essence that Vedas and Agamas are not dichotomous, they are not different. They are basically two sides of the same coin. For a layman like us, we consider ourselves laymen. Yoga is something that has two parts, ritualistic part and philosophical part, but by and large, yoga or the Vedanta or the Vedas in particular lead us to a very different kind of aesthetic understanding. To give it a practical shape, although Tantra is inherent in it, Sri Aurobindo gave us the science of the yoga, that is the Tantra. Science of the yoga is Tantra. If you have to, basically people say that the Vedas are just verbose kind of things. They are not. They are secrets. That's why it prompted him to write Secret of the Vedas. Once you read Secret of the Vedas, you see the tantric symbolism. What is tantric symbolism is actually the codification of the secrets. And he tried to dissect them, decode them for us at all levels. And once we visualize his writings, we come to the conclusion that he is not only very close to Kashmir Shaivism or Shaiva Darshana, but he is in fact giving us the reality of Vimarsha in Kashmir Shaivism in his works. That is a wonderful thing about Rajrishi Sri Aurobindo. Aurobindo, while working on the sadhana, if you'll go through his texts, that is the letters on the yoga, 2 or 3 volumes, we have to read them very patiently, once, twice, thrice, and we'll come across that he is telling about the things which are already in Kashmir Shaivism, and he has practicalized them. And he has made practical. And though he has not mentioned anywhere about that he has taken the cue from this, but his sadhana, because it is such a secretive sadhana, even in Kola or Trika, the gurus usually initiate the disciples, and then it's very secretive, and most competent are taken into the fold. And that's what actually happened with Sri Aurobindo. His conception of Krishna and Kali at Alipur is again wonderful to understand. So my proposition is that his whole symbols of working, he worked on 3 Shaktis. That's the Shakti sadhana was the main premise of his work. The main premise of his work was Shakti sadhana. And that is not away from tantric considerations. There has been a missing link, totally. People have been trying to establish Kashmir Shaivism, I must come to that also. Kashmir Shaivism, we see it in a very different way, from where Vedanta says that this whole Brahma is static, his creation is basically illusory, that's Maya. So what happens, they say that this Maya is an illusion, it's a superimposition on the Brahma. And the question of, in a very lay language of the Kashmir Shaiva Darshana, is that if this whole creation is the work of the Lord Shiva, the Bhairava, then how come his creation, if he is himself a reality, how his creation can be an illusion? So it's his Swatantra Shakti. And his Swatantra Shakti is actually working in a kind of vimarsha. It's making him realize himself through Unmesha and Nimesha. And exactly, Sri Aurobindo says that this life, this body is divine. You have to realize this reality through your body. You have to keep it agile. This is the vehicle for the realization. It's not like Hatha Yoga. He assimilated every yoga and called it integral yoga. And integral yoga, which includes ascent, this ascent of this human form to basically identify the divinity and then take the divinity within you in the descent and ultimately arrive at the unity. That is basically Prakasha and Vimarsha, both in union, taking us to the new world of Swatantra Shakti. And exactly, the more you read, and as you, Professor Mishra has rightly said, this is the 700th year we're celebrating of Shaiva Yogini Laleshwari. I was going through her walks only yesterday, and I could again see, as if I could see the traces of Sri Aurobindo's magnum opus Savitri in it, as if it was Aurobindo writing there, reciting those in the Sanskritized Kashmiri, the walks of Shaiva Yogini Laleshwari or Lala. So same language of ascent and descent, Vimarsha and Prakasha in those walks. And what does it mean? It means that in India, in this whole ecosystem, in this whole aesthetics, what we are witnessing actually is the work of Bhairava in different ways. And only thing, what Sri Aurobindo has done, that's very tremendous. The English language is never an equivalent of Sanskrit. God in English cannot be an equivalent of our Ishvara, Dharma of religion, and many more examples are there. The best work, the best contribution of Sri Aurobindo is that what he has done, he has Sanskritized English to explain Tantra, to explain Indic system. The more you read Sri Aurobindo, you will understand he has created the language to interpret the Indic system, especially the Tantra. Otherwise, normally you cannot express our Sanskritic traditions in English language. They are always approximate or near, but they are not accurate to explain our tradition. And one more thing, as people usually confuse with the things that the whole tradition, the whole Indic system, the Tantras, they say us, if you have to do the research, create the hypothesis, use the instrument, hello. Hello.
जी महोदय.
So it was some problem. So what I was trying to say is that the research which has been done, whether in Kashmir Shaivism or in other Indic traditions, its model is faulty model, because we are trying to use the model of social sciences into it, which is all based on Western studies. It's groomed in the biblical or Abrahamic traditions. It can suit that culture, that epistemology, that hermeneutics, or that tradition. And Sri Aurobindo has quoted many times that what actually is happening, you cannot establish the realizations in Indic tradition through the Western terminology, Western instruments, because Sanskrit syllables are realized syllables. These are sound syllables which have been worked upon, which have been given by the rishis, the mantra drishtas. Rishis are basically mantra drishtas who have realized the truths, who have realized the vibrations. And exactly the same as you had organized the Matrika lecture last time of Shri Kupilu, same things. You cannot have constructs. And same thing has gone into the works of Lalita. See her meter. That meter is not based on poetry. These are wrongly called songs. They are not songs, they are realizations. You realize because your whole system is Shiva. Due to the malas, this Shiva is covered. These impurities, different malas, anamala, maya mala, karmiya malas, as we call in Shaivism. Once you set them aside, your Shivahood is realized. Once this Shivahood is realized, you get a system of realization which is called Adesh. Exactly, where you don't need to do anything. It's you will operate yourself independently. And that's what exactly Sri Aurobindo says. Once this ascent and descent has taken place, it has understood the divinity in you after making the Sat Chit Ananda descent, after realizing the Chiti Shakti, you will get the Adesh. That Adesh will make you to do the things automatically. That is one thing. One more thing that's of very great importance to us in order to link, because there has been no such work to connect Sri Aurobindo with Kashmir Shaivism or Trika Shastra or Shaiva Shastra. His recordings, his notes, and he was very, I must say, he was one of the yogis who was a scholar and a philosopher both, who understood the problems of research, and he was the most, if you want, a most suitable academic philosopher who was himself a rishi. It was Sri Aurobindo. And what he did, he used to step by step write down these things in his diaries, and these are available in the form of complete works. He says that the three Shaktis, Saraswati, Kali, and Lakshmi, are of course there. These three Shaktis, and we have a great blessing that we have Sri Mata Vaishno Devi shrine in Jammu itself. And you can see the three pindis there. What are they actually? They're again that Vimarsha in practicality, the symbolism of that Vimarsha. And Sri Aurobindo had one more study to do, and that is very important from the Tantric perspective, and it matches with the Dwadash Kalis of Kashmir Shaivism. And he says that every Kali has a hue. And usually, if you'll ask people, what is the hue of Kali, Mahakali? People will say black. No, Sri Aurobindo was clear that it's golden. Mahakali is golden in hue. And there is the Shakti out of which all of these emerge, exactly in the same way. This is Maheshwari. And Maheshwari has a white hue. So these Shaktis, he understood. See how he understood that Prakasha. That gives a Prakasha Bodha. What we are trying to establish from centuries in Kashmir Shaivism, it's already truth. But the question is of realization. We cannot question the truth because it has been experienced by those sadhakas, those acharyas, but there was a disconnect. And imagine in 9th or 10th century, Acharya Abhinav Gupta writing in the Tantra Loka about these things, well documented, and mentioning certain shastras which are no more there in the vogue. But Sri Aurobindo, who has not worked under the acharyas in Kashmir, but he is giving the complete proof what is said of what is said in Kashmir Shaiva Darshana. He is giving you hues. Even a Kashmiri sadhaka has not that experience, that realization, what actually Sri Aurobindo is trying to do. He is giving you prakashas, different prakashas, and vimarshas in terms of Shakti. Which Shakti has which hue, he is giving you that, and with his own realization. And that is very important to understand for us. So, how to move about? How to go ahead? My question is, it's a kind of observation, did Sri Aurobindo really went through Kashmir Shaivism? Because there is in every inch, in his every study, because what he says is totally Kashmir Shaivism philosophy. It's totally what is written there, and he's giving you practicals. And his Savitri, I will basically suggest, I cannot advise because we are all learners. We are not in a position to advise anyone. We are basically learners, so we should suggest that if people really, or our scholars, or students, or even teachers want to understand the gamut of his work, simple thing is that just don't read his any work, just Savitri. That's a magnum opus, very long blank verse poem in I suppose in 1,000 pages, a very wonderful thing. If you take it, the more you read it, the more you will see the union of Agama and Tantra, and he breaks the dichotomy, and that dichotomy which has been created by disruptive elements, subversive elements to dismantle the Indic tradition by detaching Paramarthika from Vyavaharika, it gives us a very good view. Number one, what is the why this dichotomy is there? Why we failed to establish Kashmir Shaivism in a pan-India manner? And even we don't have connect with Sri Aurobindo, who has done a tremendous work on Shakti Sadhana, which is basically being guided from the Shaiva Agamas, is that the scholars, the Western scholars who actually have no grouse against them, like we should not name them, very good people indeed. They did some academic kind of a research, but what they actually did, they never had the understanding of the tandem movement of Paramarthika and Vyavaharika. The imperialists, the evangelists, they detached Paramarthika from Vyavaharika. When you take out Paramarthika from Vyavaharika, it creates a dichotomy. And same has happened. But it goes to the credit of Sri Aurobindo to understood these things and removed that anomaly. And that's why when you read him, there's a totally different interpretation. And people say that Kashmir Shaivism has nothing to do with Vedanta. It has nothing to do with Upanishads. It's totally absurd. Because Vedanta or Vedas or Agamas are not different. In different tantras, where Lord Shiva gives the Agamas or tantras direct from it. It's a kind of dialogue between his Shakti and him. Because what is the difference actually? In Agamas, you cannot realize anything till you are not friendly. You are not receptive. You are not dogmatic. You are not informal. In informal atmosphere, you can discuss many things. You have to be in love with the person whom you are discussing the things. This is not a material love. This is a kind of, there should be no sense of dvaita between you and the other person, the pupil and the student. And this thing has to be very important. You can see the kind of discourse in tantras that takes place with Parvati or Uma, whatever you call her, and his Lord Shiva. They're very informal. They're discussing the truths, the cosmic truths, in a very subtle manner, in a very friendly manner, and they go to any extent of explaining the things, and they're saying what are do's and what are don'ts, what has to be done, what has not to be done, and these things are called tantras. Agama. Agama is informal. Agama is not bound by any sense of Dvaita. And that's what actually Lord Shiva is. Lord Shiva is not bound by any pashas. So these things were understood. We know about various works in Kashmir Shaivism, Pratibhigyan Hridayam, Tantra Loka, Tantra Sara, very good. That's wonderful. Even you can Spanda Karika, Spanda Sandoha, Swattvachantamani, Shiva Sutras, many, many more. But my observation is that we cannot make out things from them. We cannot make out the sense out of them till we put them to our use by understanding first that this life is divine, as Sri Aurobindo said. This life is a reality. This is not an illusion. If the Shiva, the Bhairava is a reality, how come his creation can be an illusion? Number one. So it has to be a reality. He's Swatantra. And he propounds it many times. And he was able to take the essence out. One more thing, if you read the interpretation of Srimad Bhagavad Gita by Acharya, Abhinavagupta Pada, and essays on Gita by Sri Aurobindo. There is no dichotomy. See the understanding. Now people will say, how this happened? This proves that there is a Shaktipata. Shaktipata is something which can make you do things in a jiffy rather than in years. So these things should make us to revise our understanding of the tantras. And people usually say, what are tantras? Tantras are kind of a, you can say, witchcraft and things like that. It's not like that. Tantra is the science of yoga, where when actually what is happening, one more thing has to be clarified. It has been also clarified by Aurobindo that when you are listening to someone, you are receiving something from someone, you are feminine. A male can be a feminine, a female, when he's receiving the things, he's understanding the things, internalizing the things. And once a female is telling the thing, she's a male in that construct. It has nothing to do with the gender as such. So, same things, when you are, you can call dharana, किसी चीज को धारण करना, तो you are a female. You have that tendency. And that thing makes it something totally different. So 2 or 3 points which I have tried to touch. Number 1 is that Sri Aurobindo's integral yoga, Samagra Yoga, which we call, is basically the inclusion of everything. Whole Indic system is not segregated, it is integral. That's what he has done. And he has culminated it with the Tantra. It's only through Tantra, Vimarsha, that he has been able to create a system where you are able to evolve yourself, and your love for this universe has to be a system where you have to realize things. You have been given this life, this universe to act. This is all Shiva. You are Shiva, but only thing is that you have lost the Shivahood. It's all again through his will, but he's trying to make you realize, until and unless he's basically what he's doing, he's trying to realize things for himself. In his willful play, he's forgetting himself. And in order to understand his own play, he creates this prapancha. And again realizes it. So this whole cycle, which we are trying to say, is not linear. It's not, this life is not a sin, as for Abrahamic traditions are saying. This is not a sin. And unfortunately, that sinhood has been impregnated into our system. And we say, oh, we are doing this wrong and right. Actually, there is no right and wrong in our tradition. There is only realization. There's only realization. There is no sin, actually. And the whole process has to be seen in the matrix of aesthetics. Everything is an instrument to realization. Here, some time back, if you'll see, decades back, one of the most misunderstood mystics, I must say, or philosophers, Rajneesh, Acharya Rajneesh or Osho, you can see those most unconventional people whom we consider unconventional. And Sri Aurobindo is also unconventional because he wears many caps. He was a revolutionary, he was a philosopher, he was a thinker, he was a politician of sorts. And he was able to interpret these things. Only a person who has seen different shades of this life divine will be able to understand Tantra. Tantra is a science. It's a science in reality, not in the Western science or physical sciences. And the Vijnana Bhairava commentary by Osho, the sacred book, the book of secrets, if you'll see it, only a person who has kept his vistas open can understand. You will see that, oh, there is nothing sacred about the things, that only a Kashmiri has the right to interpret the Tantra. So I'm giving you 2 examples of Acharya Rajneesh and Aurobindo. So you can see the Shaktipat. This is most unconventional of kind of a thing. So there is one more aspect I want to discuss. Upanishads, the Vedantas. If you'll see them, again, people, you take the inferences or instances from them and connect. And Sri Aurobindo's interpretation is totally tantric. Usually we can see the tikas from various publications, that's literal from word to word or certain vyakhas which are in the parlance. But his interpretations, you can say the future poetry or the life divine or the Upanishads, Isha or Kena or other Upanishads, his commentary or the essays on the Gita, he takes you into the tantric plane, the experimentation plane. His conception of yajna is not the same as that of the ritualist. And I was surprised when after reading his essays on the secret of the Veda, I basically went straight to Tantra Lok and I could see what Acharya Abhinav Gupta is saying. The same things are coming out. He has integrated in the same way what basically Acharya Gupta, Abhinav Gupta Mahapada did, and Sri Aurobindo did the same in the modern sense. But he had the advantage that he was well versed in the language of the Abrahamics, and that makes a distinction. If you'll see the Tantra Loka and his essays on the Gita or the life divine, actually it seems that he has modeled his integral yoga on that. The more you read it, the more it becomes clear, So what does it mean? It means that the kind of mischievous thing that is being done to segmentize Bharat, that Kashmir has its own place consciousness, Assam has its own place consciousness, this is a ploy. One more thing. Recently, Nepal, we have a lot of tussle. I'm trying to be something different. It's not a political discourse. Kubjika Tantra. And there are evidences that it has traveled from Kashmir and from Kashmir to Nepal, the Kathmandu Valley, and then again back to and fro. There has been correspondence, one isomorphism. And how it expanded. There are still the sacred traditions going on in Nepal. And why this kind of a dichotomy? The same tantras in South. And I was very astonished to see there is one practitioner, he is in Australia in the forest, he's doing the sadhanas and all that. He is maintaining the yogini tradition. And what they actually are, he's doing it. One more thing that we have to understand is that no society cannot progress or uphold its traditions, uphold its identity, uphold its aesthetics until and unless it doesn't understand the integrality of everything. What does it mean? It's not integrality of the philosophy only. How the philosophy emerges, that is the question. The worst thing that has been done to us by the colonizers of one form or the another, they understood that if these people have to be kept away from the national life, there should be a total dissection of Paramarthika and Vyavaharika. What is Paramarthika is exactly the realizational studies. Vyavaharika is the day-to-day code of conduct. Our Shastras, whether Shiva Shastras or other Shastras, have that beauty that they made you a complete person. They said that its whole life is what Aurobindo is saying, that life divine. The Shiva Shastra says, yes, this life is divine. You are not to be a renunciate to experience the Bhairava sadhana or Shiva sadhana. You can do it in your own. You have to be a householder. Most of the Kashmir Shaivism practitioners have been the householders. And that is a life divine. And that message was really institutionalized by Sri Aurobindo. So my point is that first our society and its moorings were destructed. And what it did, it made us to leave aside our Shastras, our scriptures, or our works. These are basically research works. Keep them aside, and we try to grab certain things which are not fit to our tradition, to our personality, to our lifestyle. That's why such a dichotomy, where basically split personalities. And they did it wonderfully. Now this gap of so many years has to be bridged. How to go about it? Whenever, I'm talking from a very learner's perspective, whenever we are going for a PhD thesis, we are working under our esteemed supervisors. What is the main thrust? They say, go for the primary data, go for the secondary data, compile your thesis, use the references, use the bibliography. And is it a Western blessing to us? No. If you will go, for example, to Tantra Loka, if you will see it in just 3 or 4 chapters, you will see there are so many references. I must say, Acharya Abhinavgupta was the foremost researcher who introduced the kind of bibliography and references, the kind of references they give, so minute. So this tradition is our system. And people try to fool us that Indian system is not authentic. You don't give references and all that. Or all Shastras, they have footnotes, they have references, they have appendix, they have indexes. They are very particular about everything, even about a dialogue between 2 scholars that is also recorded. And then commentaries, Acharya Jairat's commentary and other Acharyas giving commentary. So my point is that we will have to model our research, whether we are doing it in Vedas, Upanishads, or the Shaiva Agamas, or the Indic tradition in the broad sense. We have to leave aside this model which has been given to us by social sciences. It cannot fit our studies because these studies are more professional than the physical sciences, physics, chemistry, mathematics, where people sometimes raise fingers at us. We are doing a wonderful research in science. I must challenge those people, and we can challenge those people. Their research stands nowhere there because this is a consciousness studies where you have to be very critical. You have not only research, you have to actually go into the realization and internalization. I must say a kind of a sadhana, Kausi sadhana. And then you can arrive at such real understandings of the findings, then the findings. So what is a moot point? Moot point is that over the years, there is a dichotomy. There may be many scholars which may have done work at the All India level, but we don't know about them. Why? Because we have not been able to document the things. We have not kept track. And we have tried to adopt the studies which are not immune or aesthetically correct to our system. And even Sri Aurobindo was not from the sciences, not from the Indic studies. He was totally angelicized. His father got him educated overseas so that he doesn't get a streak of the kind of Indianness. The more he kept him away, the more he was interested, and ultimately he was learner of so many languages. Why he was able to create the English that caters to the interpretation of Shaiva Shastra or Tantra is because he understood, he read Latin, Greek and other languages which compose the English. English is a borrowed language. Sanskrit is the only language which is original sadhaka's language, which is, that's why we call it a Devvani. It's not Devvani in the sense that somebody, because it has been realized. It has been, you can say, it's a kind of a siddhi. Sanskrit is in itself a siddhi. And every sounds label, and one most important thing, why? Because I'm giving a thrust on Aurobindo, it's a totally new dimension. Some people say that we have read Tantra Loka, we have read Tantra Sara, and still we are not able to get realization and all that. Mind it, those acharyas who framed those axioms, rules, mantras, they were very intelligent and wise people because they knew a person at time will be attracted to something, but other moment he will be distracted. So only those people should be initiated who are really worthy of it. What they did? The way you do these days, you open a Facebook account, you open a Twitter account, but you have a password. The coded language, only a person who knows the code can operate that software. Exactly the same way these mantras are like that. They have the keys. You cannot understand them without keys, and certain mantras have been written in reverse order. Only a person who is realized, who has researched, will be able to decode these mantras with the keys and then arrive at that. Sri Aurobindo understood that. He has written it in the Secret of the Vedas, he has written it in the Live Divine. And same thing happened when you go through the Tantra Loka, same thing, same keys and everything is there. It means that he has gone through these Shastras. He has realized, not only decoded them, but practiced them. I suggest everyone to just start with one work, because English is so easy for all of us, because we are all unfortunately educated in English. I must say unfortunately. So we can make it again our strength that if you have to be competent in Shakti Sadhana, in Shaiva Agamas, in Kashmir Shaiva Darshana or Trika Darshana, Pratyabhigyan or anything, just pick up one volume of Sri Aurobindo, not his political or other works, but his works, political works were also spiritualized. But like essays on the Gita, Secret of the Vedas, essays on the Gita and Secret of the Vedas, very simple text, but once you read them, your whole perspective changes, your dimension, your vistas change. And then go to the Shaiva Shastras, and it will be a totally different dimension. One of the contemporary exponents of Kashmir Shaivism, it's again very interesting, Swami Lakshmanji Maharaj. He was not well versed in English. He was not English educated. He was totally educated in Sanskrit. You listen to his lectures on YouTube and see his bhava. How come English comes to him and is able to convince the Western scholars and they are mad about him? Because it is Shaktipat. Only Guru Kripa you can say, or the Bhairava Kripa, and he's able to speak in English. Otherwise, he was not speaking in English. While interpreting, he's speaking English, and to the point English. And his interpretation of the Tantra Loka is so accurate than the most scholars. So it is not that I have to be a very learned person. Even a layman can raise to those levels, but we have to follow the track. You have to decide, you have to make your goal. And the best part for anyone, again I repeat, this is the 7th year of Yogini Laleshwari. Her writings, not writings actually, her oral recitations, walks. Her walks were also interpolated. Only 100 may be correct or original. All have been interpolated because the politics in Kashmir that emerged. And Laleshwari is so integral to the space consciousness of Kashmir, even the Muslims are not able to cast her aside. How can they? Because she has done the work in the local dialect and Sanskritized original Kashmiri. And they have tried to interpolate it, but they are not able to give it up. They have to accept that she is part and parcel of this. And there may be many dichotomies, that's a different topic. But same thing, these corrections have to be done. How many of us have taken research on the local deities? We similarly in the south were Akka Maheshwari. And I see a resonance in Ramana Maharishi of Arunachala. Again, so Shaivism or Shakta tradition is not confined to Kashmir only. It is basically integral system. There has been a correspondence from Kashmir to other parts. People used to go and come, debate. That's why it has spread. This is such unique. We have to, if we have to uphold this nation, we have to connect these dots. And I am of the firm belief, it's not politics which will basically make this India the strong nation. Politics is formed on strong social values. I told in the beginning, there's a dichotomy. Strong social values lead to strong society, and then politics is defined by the society. ये एक बदमाशी है कि politics में नहीं जाइए क्योंकि they wanted to keep us away of the power so that we are not able to guard ourselves, और हम कहते हैं कि politics गंदी गेम है, इसमें नहीं चाहिए. तो अर्थशास्त्र भी नहीं होता आचार्य चाणक्य का. तो कहने का मतलब what I'm trying to say is that try to identify our social system, the aesthetic system, which is based on these things, and we will come to conclusion that we have lost something. There is a gap. This research gap is because Paramarthika has been separated from Vyavaharika, and this gap has been filled by Aurobindo. there's a very less work on Sri Aurobindo because people find him difficult, because people don't go into the sadhana part or fundamentals into which he attacks. Swami Vivekananda was able to just accomplish one aspect, that was ascent of the divine and descent. He had a communion with Sri Aurobindo at Alipur jail, he says, and it was completed. This model was completed. There is always a chain. And people say it was that Kashmir Shaivism is different. No, these things are not different. These are in the consciousness only. The acharyas, they're working, they appear at the right time. When the capacity building has been done, they are working, they are doing their job. They look for the most acceptable candidate. Even this discussion, if we are doing in a very humble way, it's the will of the Bhairava. Because we are all, the more you realize that you are Shiva, the more this work will be easy. It will go on, go on, go on. The more we say that we are doing it academically, academic part is important, the more we are into the regression. So our research, our Indology is based more on internalization, looking inwards, and then coming out outwards. That is the message of Sri Aurobindo also. That is the message of Kashmir Shaivism, Prakasha and Vimarsha. Lord Shiva is a Prakasha in static form. He cannot understand. He's in a motionless motion, spanda, motionless motion. In order to realize his own self, he creates Vimarsha. And there are other aspects. The conjugal bliss. There are certain things, conjugal aspects also, which have been dealt in the Tantra. How they are different from what are they made. His Vimarsha to Swatantra Shakti. So this whole independence, independence is not kind of you have to be away. Independence is a kind of delegation of powers. He's delegating powers to you that you are Shiva. Now go and identify yourself. You are equal to me. You can do any miracles. That's why when you attain a siddhi, you can change the dimensions. You are able to do the things. How? Because Lord Shiva has been realized. So that way the life is divine. And this rests the case of Sri Aurobindo. There are many aspects which I cannot discuss in the open what Sri Aurobindo realized. But point is that his work, his sadhana, his realization that he many times he commented on various aspects. You cannot imagine various aspects which are so trivial. Illness, education, we can say sex life, and many things. Buddhi, or you can say kind of health issues. How these are a kind of imbalance when you don't realize the things. And Tantra is a holistic solution to it. Holistic solution in the sense that it is not, we have to understand one fundamental thing, that Agama and Nigama, they are not two different things. Lord Shiva says this, that Vedas are there too. There are gradations. Yoga is there. But what is the science of yoga? What is the science? Tantra is the science of yoga. That is the message of Sri Aurobindo. And that is the message of Kashmir Shaivism. Even the sound syllables, this has been discussed last time in your lecture series. So it can be said, in English, you don't say that alphabets are divine, your A, B, C, D, your letters are divine. Here, every sound in Indic system is very important. Your names, when you are born, as per the Rashi and other things, are kept. Whether a M shabd hai, H se aapka naam hoga. Why so? It's a symbolism. And see, a person whose name has been kept on certain syllable, it has an effect. Those qualities are converged in you in one way or the other. This is not without reason. And this is Vimarsha actually, the realization of sound syllables. I'm giving simple example. Your names have been registered in that way. This is not the system in other nations. So this was a just brief submission from my side, a very humble submission, I must say, from a learner's perspective, that we will have to break or defreeze ourselves, decondition. We go for reconditioning. The models have failed us because they are not compatible models. You cannot use them here. Only data collection and hypothesis is not going to solve, because our Indic tradition is totally a different tradition. It has a different aesthetics. Our climatic conditions in which we have groomed it's not going to suit us. That's why we are getting different results. We are not able to create a kind of ecosystem which is compatible to our national resurgence. That's why this whole thing has created desanskritization. Whole political problem or social problem or educational problem is a desanskritizing problem. We have to resanskritize it. Sanskrit is not a language we have to impose Sanskrit as a language. Sanskrit is a system. Language is one of the parts of this system. We have to understand this. So I rest my case with this humble submission. Any observations, most welcome. Hello.
जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद महोदय। अभी यहाँ जो प्रतिभागी हैं उनमें से किसी का कोई प्रश्न हो, कोई क्वेरी हो यहाँ पर, तो उपस्थापित कर सकते हैं आप महोदय से इस संबंध में। जो आज का व्याख्यान श्री अरविंद और काश्मीर शैव शास्त्र के विषय में यहाँ प्रस्तुत किया गया, तो इस विषय में आपका कोई विचार है, कोई टिप्पणी है, कोई प्रश्न है, कोई जिज्ञासा है, तो आप यहाँ रख सकते हैं। जी
The most welcome.
आप अपने यंत्र को अनम्यूट करके पूछ सकते हैं। अनम्यूट करके आप अपना प्रश्न
Any
यहाँ रख
questions? Most welcome. Any observations?
हेलो, नमस्कार सर।
नमस्कार।
हाँ सर, आप बहुत अच्छा आपने ये लेक्चर दिया, तो हमें बहुत इसका ज्ञानवर्धन भी हुआ। तो मेरा
जी।
एक प्रश्न है कि आज के परिवेश में कश्मीर शैव दर्शन, इसका पुनरुत्थान और पुनर्जागरण कैसे संभव है कश्मीर में, और इसको क्या हम जनश्रुति के माध्यम से आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं या नहीं? क्योंकि अगर इसके बारे में अगर हम पढ़ना चाहते होंगे, जब पढ़ने के इच्छुक होंगे, तो हमें यूनिवर्सिटी के माध्यम से ही थोड़ा बहुत इसका जानकारी मिलेगी, लेकिन इसको जनश्रुति के रूप में कैसे इसके बारे में हम जान सकते हैं?
जी, बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न है। तो आपका नाम?
मैं विक्रम शर्मा, मैं भी जम्मू कश्मीर से ही हूँ, और कुरुक्षेत्र यूनिवर्सिटी में असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर हूँ और पीएचडी भी कर रहा हूँ।
बहुत बढ़िया। अच्छा, देखिए जी, ऐसा है कि आपने जो प्रश्न पूछा इसके बड़े डायमेंशन है। तो एक तो सबसे पहले अपने ही यूनियन टेरिटरी अब हो गई है, वहां कैसे करें, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, जैसे मैंने कहा कि अगर हम इस बात को जरा देखें, कुछ साल से हम देख रहे हैं अभिनवगुप्त जयंती भी मनाई जा रही है, वसुगुप्त पर भी थोड़ा थोड़ा काम हो रहा है, अब ललेश्वरी भी फोरफ्रंट में आ रही है। अभी तो एक जो बेसिकली योगिनी है जिनको हम रूपवानी कहते हैं, वो भी लोकाचार में है। ऐसा नहीं लोग, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम ये रही कि इन लोगों को करिकुलम में नहीं लाया गया। बात यही थी ना। अब देखिए, यहाँ पर हम नहीं कहते कि आप साधना करवाइए आप इसके करिकुलम के माध्यम से, सिलेबस के माध्यम से, लेकिन जिस राज्य में आप हैं, जिस प्रदेश में आप हैं, कम से कम वहां के सिलेबस में वहां के जो ग्रंथ हैं, वहां के फोकलोर हैं, और वहां के आप जो कहिए जो महापुरुष रहे या वहां की फिलॉसफी रही, अगर अरुणाचल में ब्रह्मण्य महर्षि थोड़ा सिलेबस में डाल दिया जाए, जम्मू कश्मीर में भी आचार्य अभिनवगुप्त, वसुगुप्त, इनका सिर्फ इंट्रोडक्शन डाल दिया जाए, उससे बच्चों में इंटरेस्ट होगा। 9वीं 10वीं में आ जाए तो 12वीं तक जाएगा तो समझेगा कि मेरे यहाँ फिलॉसफी में ये लोग भी थे, इन्होंने क्या किया। अब एमए में जाएंगे तो आप कहेंगे नहीं जी, मैं शिवशास्त्र पढ़ना चाहता हूँ या मैं कुछ करना चाहता हूँ, लेकिन उसके लिए बाद में स्कूल लेवल पर, कॉलेज लेवल पर भी सब्जेक्ट होना चाहिए, तो फिर उसका यूनिवर्सिटी में आएगा। अब आप खुद जम्मू कश्मीर, जम्मू से हैं, आपको भी पता है कि डोगरी को 8वें शेड्यूल में लाने के लिए कितना संघर्ष करना पड़ा, जानते हैं ना। तो और हम सफल तो हुए ना, सफल हुए। और लेकिन ऐसे ही अब जैसे आज हमारी बात निकली, बात से बात निकलती है, तभी मैंने कहा बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न है। तो एक सुझाव भी हो सकता है, हम सेमिनार करवाते हैं, सेमिनार तभी करवाते हैं जब एकेडमिक वैल्यू है। अब सेमिनार करवाने का ये मतलब नहीं है कि हम सारे योगी बन गए, लेकिन इसमें एक जिज्ञासा थी, एक इंटरेस्ट था। ये यहाँ का सिस्टम है, जैसे हम कहते हैं जी कि जम्मू कश्मीर में माता वैष्णो देवी है, शीर भवानी रागिना देवी का तीर्थ है, ये हमें पता है, लेकिन उसके पीछे फिलॉसफी क्या है, कभी सिलेबस में आई? कोई ऐसा मतलब उसमें चैप्टर डाला गया? तो सबसे पहले तो हमें इस तरीके से जाना होगा कि कम से कम आप एक चैप्टर तो डालिए हिस्ट्री में, या कोई आपका ऐसा सब्जेक्ट है हिंदी में ही डाल दीजिए जहाँ जिक्र है, बच्चे में इंटरेस्ट हो। तो आगे जब वो स्कूल कॉलेज में जाएगा वो कहेगा नहीं ये सब्जेक्ट है, लेकिन उसके लिए कॉलेज में भी तैयारी चाहिए। इस मुद्दे पर जो अब यूनियन टेरिटरी भी बन गई, अब ये होना चाहिए। और जितना भी रिसर्च हुआ है, अगर आप देखेंगे बाहर हो, लोगों ने वेस्ट में इसको रिसर्च का साधन बनाया। बड़े अच्छे से स्कॉलर हैं, मार्क ज़ाइकोविस्की हैं, और भी बड़े लोग हैं। वो क्यों कर रहे हैं? लेकिन हमारे लोगों को पता नहीं,
बिल्कुल
हमें तो
बिल्कुल
ये भी नहीं
आपका
पता।
प्रश्न।
ठीक है,
हाँ हाँ,
और कोई
क्योंकि
प्रश्न?
हम इनकी शैव दर्शन के बारे में मेरे को जानकारी, जब डॉक्टर मिश्रा जी के संपर्क में आया तभी मेरे को इनके बारे में जानकारी मिल पाई। जैसे आज
ठीक,
थोड़ा बहुत लेक्चर सुन लिया वगैरह, लेकिन पहले इसके बारे में मुझे इतना ज्यादा पता भी नहीं था। चलो आपने बहुत अच्छी
जी। और
बताया,
हम ये कहते
धन्यवाद
हैं
सर।
आपको, मैं कहता हूँ कि एक और संदर्भ है इसको, और मैं ऐसे कहता हूँ कि जम्मू कश्मीर में आप देखिए, कश्मीर में लोगों की कुल देवियां होती हैं, कश्मीरी पंडितों की। ज्वाला देवी है,
हाँ
रागिनिया
बिल्कुल।
देवी है,
हाँ
आप शारिका देवी। अब जम्मू में कुल देवते होते हैं, कालीवीर हैं, कोई बाबा
कुलदेव
भूतो हैं,
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
बाबा भूतो हैं,
बिल्कुल
कालीवीर हैं,
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
या भुआ होती है। तो इस तरह के देवता, हमने इन चीजों को कभी समझने की कोशिश नहीं की है, क्या कारण है। इसमें भी प्रकाश और विमर्श का बोध है। तो हम ये कहते हैं आज के संदर्भ में, जब हम कश्मीर से बिखर गए, कश्मीर अगर प्रकाश है तो जम्मू विमर्श है, क्योंकि जम्मू में हमारे पास माता वैष्णो देवी है। कभी हमने ऐसा सोचा? इसके पीछे ये चीजें हैं, तो ये जोड़ती हैं हमें। तो शिव साधना एक कॉन्शियसनेस
बिल्कुल
है, तो उसके बाद ही हम आगे बढ़ सकते
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, ये थोड़ा सामाजिक लेवल पे ही अगर हमारे उधर वहाँ पे स्टडी हो तभी जाकर ये
हैं। अब
संभव है कि
हमें
सबको
पहल
इसके बारे
करना
में
पड़ेगा
अच्छे
कि
से।
पेपर पढ़े जा रहे हैं, हो रहा है, लेकिन आप इसमें सब्जेक्ट भी लाइए।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सर, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। धन्यवाद सर, धन्यवाद।
जी, अन्य किसी का कोई प्रश्न हो,
हाँ
कोई शंका हो, कोई जिज्ञासा हो, तो आप यहाँ पूछ सकते
जी
हैं,
प्लीज।
डॉक्टर महेश कौल जी के सामने उपस्थापित कर सकते हैं।
वे नए लोग गए किए हैं और पहले से प्रतिष्ठा देवी जी हैं, संस्कृत पाली प्राकृत विभाग की।
सर आवाज नहीं
और
आ रही।
हम लोग एक, हेलो, एक आ रहा है?
सर
हेलो,
थोड़ी टूट रही है।
हेलो, हेलो, हेलो,
हेलो
हेलो,
सर, सर आवाज में थोड़ी
हाय,
डिस्टर्बेंस है।
अच्छे, अच्छा अच्छा, हेलो, हेलो,
जी जी।
हेलो,
हेलो
हेलो, आ रहा है?
सर, टूट रही है आवाज।
अच्छा, तो और कोई पूछे? फिर बाद में बोल रहा हूँ जी। हेलो, हेलो,
जी सर।
सुनाई दे रहा है? हेलो,
हेलो सर, आवाज बहुत कम आ रही है।
आ रही है?
गुरुजी, थोड़ा स्थान परिवर्तन यदि करके देख ले
अच्छा,
तो। जी, शायद।
ये आ रहा है कुछ? हेलो, हेलो,
जी जी।
हेलो,
जी सर,
ओके,
थोड़ा बेटर है।
अच्छा, बेटर है, ओके, ओके, थैंक यू। ये मैं डॉक्टर रीना अग्रवाल हैं जयपुर से, और मैडम हमारे प्रोफेसर कृष्णा देवी की तरफ से आई वेलकम देम। मैडम राजदान भी हैं, उनको भी स्वागत करते हैं इस व्याख्यान क्रम में। तो बहुत ही अच्छी बातें, आज ये एक अनोखी बात हुई। मेरे ख्याल में इस विषय पर हम बहुत कम यहाँ डिस्कस कर पाए हैं। पीछे हमने एक सेमिनार किया था श्री अरविंद की सावित्री के ऊपर, उसमें कुछ बातें जरूर आई थी। कुछ के साधक भी यहाँ उपस्थित थे, और जब भी प्रोफेसर अरविंद बासु आते थे मेरे टीचर के टीचर, मैं उनसे ये बात पूछता था। और ये बहुत आवर ऑफ गॉड का भी, उसमें भी जो बातें मैंने पहले देखी थी, और ऑफ गॉड को देख करके मेरे को लगा कि यहाँ काश्मीर सैविज्म है। तो फिर उसने मैंने पूछा था उनसे, प्रोफेसर अरविंद बासु से, जो आज नहीं है, और जो आश्रम में जब भी जाते थे तो वहाँ मिलते थे जोशी जी और लोग जो इसमें साधक थे। उन्होंने कहा कि जो मैग्नम ओपस से सावित्री है और लाइफ डिवाइन है, और बेसिक वर्क जो शुरू करें हम जो है सिंथेसिस योगा से और सीक्रेट ऑफ द वेदा से। और श्री अरविंद किस बात को ले जाते हैं, कहाँ जो है 900 वर्षों का व्यवधान है। 11वीं सदी में अगर अभिनव गुप्त हैं तो 20वीं सदी में और श्री अरविंद हैं, और दोनों के आपस में क्या संवाद है। और अच्छा कहा उन्होंने कि स्वामी विवेकानंद जैसे जहाँ वो खत्म होते हैं वहीं से श्री अरविंद स्टार्ट करते हैं। इसी बात को हम जो है वो मानते हैं, और उनका आपस में बातचीत भी हुई है। और भगवान श्री कृष्ण जी के साथ में भी श्री अरविंद की बातचीत हुई है उत्तरापड़ास बीच में, और बाद में 1910 से निकल के वो गए और चंद्रनगर के पांडिचेरी में, वो सारा इतिहास है। तो बहुत ही अच्छी बातें हुई है। अल्लाह देव के बारे में भी बीच में बातें आई, और वो जो बात को कहती हैं वाक के माध्यम से। उन्होंने एक बार हमने इंडियन सेमिनार किया था तंत्र मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट के ऊपर, उसमें एक महिला आई थी काश्मीर की, कल्ला संतरा, तो उन्होंने वाक को किया था। और एक अमेरिकन आए थे बनारस से, वो भी उन बातों को गिटार के माध्यम से प्रस्तुत कर रहे थे। तो इट इज समथिंग वेरी, मैंने जो साधना है, जो फिलोसफी है, और जो प्रैक्टिसेस हैं, जो दीक्षा है, जो गुरु है, जो मंत्र शक्ति है, ये सब एक फैक्ट है। और चाहे हमारा कितना समय बढ़ जाए आगे, हम परिपूर्ण हो जाए, ये जो तंत्रम है, ये जो आधुनिक गतिविधियां हैं, परंतु हमारी आत्मा में एक खोज रहेगा, एक प्यासा, एक पिपास रहेगी उन बातों को जानने के लिए। और प्रोफेसर बीना अग्रवाल जी वो भी कुछ यहाँ नोट्स बता सकते हैं अपनी है, वो विषय की है। उन्होंने अभिनव गुप्त के जो तांत्रिक कर्मकांड है, जो लिटर्जी एस्पेक्ट है, उस पर उन्होंने काम किया। उनके गुरु जी प्रोफेसर RC द्विवेदी जी बहुत बड़े विद्वान थे इसी क्षेत्र के, काश्मीर सैविज्म के। तो हमारी जो प्रोफेसर रंगा जी हैं, कृष्णा जी, वो वेद के आचार्य हैं, प्रोफेसर ऑफ वेद इन आवर डिपार्टमेंट। तो सभी लोगों का, और मैडम राजदन में जानता नहीं उनको, अगर कुछ बातें कुछ चर्चा में विषय आज। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
क्षमन्तां गुरवः, ते नीलं राजदान् एतः महोदयः अस्माकं तत्र शारदा कार्यशाला अभवत् आसीत्, तत्र शिक्षिकारूपेण आगतवत्यः आसन्।
मैं जानता हूँ, बहुत अच्छी बात मैं बताना चाहता हूँ। जब मैं गुरुदेव सिद्धपीठ में जाया करता था तो वहाँ कुछ रिट्रीट्स में, कुछ लेक्चर्स के लिए, तो वहाँ मैंने इसे काश्मीर सैविज्म को प्रैक्टिस में देखा। तो वहाँ इस बात को सुना कि जब ही भगवान नित्यानंद जो अवधूत थे, उनके शिष्य जो कि बाबा मुक्तानंद हैं, और दोनों जब भी परिपूर्ण हो गए थे, यानी उस प्रकार की उत्तर सर्वोत्तम स्थिति को प्राप्त हो चुके थे, तब जो है उनके यहाँ तरह तरह के भक्त आते थे। कुछ भक्त आकर के शिवसूत्र और स्पंद कारिका जैसे कुछ ग्रंथों को वहाँ रखे, कुछ स्वाध्याय हुआ। तो उन्होंने कहा कि हमें जो सिद्धि मिली वो इसी क्रम से मिली है, यानी हमारे सिद्धि का उपजीव्य है, इसी प्रकार का शास्त्र रहा, भले ही आक्षरिक रूप से उस शास्त्र को हम नहीं जानते हों। उसके बाद में उन्होंने काश्मीर शैव दर्शन के व्यापक अध्ययन वहाँ हुआ, अध्यापन हुआ, और सर्वप्रथम जो उन्होंने 84 काश्मीर शैवों के ग्रंथों को डिजिटाइज करके वहाँ पर अपनी डिजिटल लाइब्रेरी में स्थापित किया था। तो अतः यह तो उत्तर से दक्षिण पर्यंत यह जो अद्वैत शैवागम है परिव्याप्त है। और जहाँ 36 तत्वों की बात है, वहाँ पर जो सिद्धांत शैव हैं, जो वीर शैव हैं कर्नाटक आदि में, उन सब में भी 36 तत्वों की व्यापकता है। और वैष्णवागमों में जाएंगे तो किन्हीं तत्वों का सामंजस्य मिल जाएगा। और श्री विद्या का भी वहाँ सामंजस्य है। जो महारागी हैं तुलमुला में, जो क्षीर भवानी के नाम से, यानी उनके माध्यम से हरीश भृंगी संहिता में उनकी एक सर्वप्रथम स्तोत्र उन्हीं का आता है। तो उन सभी माध्यमों से जो त्रिक शास्त्र है, जिसको हम काश्मीर शैविज्म आज कहते हैं, उसके अंदर बहुत सारी धाराओं को इकट्ठा उनका प्राप्ति हो गई है। और सब जो 8वीं सदी में वसुगुप्त से शुरू हुई थी, अभी वसुगुप्त जी की जयंती गई, फिर जो है लल्लेश्वरी की जयंती अभी आ रही है। इसलिए ये जो महापुरुष हैं, जो बड़े सिद्ध साधक हैं, उनकी परंपरा फिर से जग रही है। और इससे ये जो व्याख्यान है तो बहुत ही अच्छी बात है। आज जो है ये डॉक्टर कौल से हमने सुनने को मिला, और ऐसा लगा तो केवल अकेडमिक नहीं है, श्रद्धा है इस विषय में, और उस साधना को ही वह जान रहे हैं। तो ये बहुत अच्छी बात है। अब देखिए प्रोफेसर बीना मैडम हैं और लोग हैं, कुछ अगर चर्चा करेंगे तो कर सकते हैं।
जी, आप इस संबंध में कोई टिप्पणी थोड़ी रखना चाहते हैं या इस विषय में चर्चा करना चाहते हैं तो आपका स्वागत है। प्रोफेसर बीना अग्रवाल जी हैं, मैडम नीलम राजदान जी हैं।
नमस्कार महेश जी, कृष्णा जी और रवि जी, मैं सबको नमस्कार बोलती हूँ। मैं एक शिव सूत्र के संबंध में एक बात कहना चाहती थी कि शिव सूत्र के संबंध में ये बताया जाता है कि शिव सूत्र जो है वो वसुगुप्त जी को एक स्वप्न में उनको ऐसे बताया गया कि आप वहाँ शंकरपल है तो वहाँ पे आप जाइए और वो टर्न हो जाएगा और वहां पे सारे शिव सूत्र लिखे गए हैं। तो मैंने एक शारदा के उल्लेख में, मैं तो शारदा को जानती हूँ, मैं कश्मीर शैविज्म के बारे में जस्ट मैंने एंटर किया है, अभी ज्यादा कुछ पता नहीं है। बट शारदा की एक मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट है स्पंद वृत्ति करके, तो वो शारदा में लिखी गई है। तो मैंने जब उसका ट्रांसलिटरेट किया तो वो आचार्य मम्मट ने लिखी है, और उसके लास्ट में उसने इस स्वप्न के बारे में ये उस मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट में ये जिक्र किया है इस स्वप्न का कि वसुगुप्त को ये स्वप्न आया। ये इसकी लैंग्वेज संस्कृत है कि वहां पे शंकरपल पे आप जाइए और वहां से आपको शिव सूत्र जो हमारे कश्मीरी शैविज्म की मतलब जो हमारा उसका जो जड़ है वहीं से स्टार्ट होता है कश्मीर शैविज्म। तो उस मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट में ये लिखा गया है जो शारदा में लिखी गई है। तो ये जो पता नहीं स्पंद वृत्ति के बारे में बहुत कम नेट पे मिलता है कि उसकी मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट, अभी मैंने उसको ट्रांसलिटरेट करके किसी को भेजा है तो उसका जो क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस है वो चल रही है। तो मैं बस ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि जो हमारे जितनी भी शिव सूत्र के बारे में जो भी व्याख्या है तो बहुत सारा वो सबसे ओल्डेस्ट मुझे लगता है आचार्य मम्मट के समय का पांडुलिपि है। तो उसमें वो उसने लास्ट पेज पे जहाँ पे उसने लिखा है कि मैं ये स्पंद वृत्ति लिख रहा हूँ, और उसने उसी से एंड किया है कि ये एक स्वप्न में उनको आया था वसुगुप्त जी को कि जहाँ पे शिव सूत्र की, वहां से उन्होंने फिर उनको पाया था शिव सूत्र उनको। बस यही कहना चाहती थी मैं, बस। थैंक यू।
जी जी नीलम जी, आपने एक अच्छी ऑब्जर्वेशन दी है।
हाँ जी।
तो मैं कहना चाहूंगा कि ये बहुत अच्छा काम किया आपने, क्योंकि बहुत सारे जो मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट, मैं अभी कुछ देर पहले कह रहा था कि तंत्रलोक में जो आचार्य अभिनव गुप्त का एनसाइक्लोपीडिक काम है उसमें
हाँ
ऐसे
जी।
शास्त्रों का वर्णन है। तो मैंने कुछ एक लिस्ट बनाई थी कुछ देर पहले, और वो बिल्कुल यहाँ से लुप्त हो गया। मैं पढ़ सकता हूँ, आपने अच्छा किया कि आपने मुझे याद दिलाया। इसमें एक अनादि शास्त्र, एक सर्वज्ञ शास्त्र है, मालनी विजयोत्तर तो हम सारे जानते हैं, उसको पूर्व शास्त्र भी कहते हैं। फिर मत्स्य भू शास्त्र है, सिद्धांत तंत्र है, स्वतंत्र तंत्र आप जानते ही हैं, आधार कारिका है और अनंत कारिका आप देखिए, और श्री मते शिरस्य शास्त्र है। ये सारे लुप्त हो चुके हैं, मीन्स दे आर नाउ नॉट अवेलेबल। ये कहीं खो गए हैं, आप कहिए कि क्या हो गया है। तो अब इन चीजों के पीछे किसी के पास कोई स्क्रिप्ट हो, तो मैं तो ये कहूंगा कि एक आर्काइवल काम भी बहुत जरूरी है। जैसे अभी हम कह रहे थे, ऐसा नहीं है कि ये लुप्त हुए, क्योंकि आपको भी पता होगा कि हमारे बचपन में भी हमारे घरों में पांडुलिपियां होती थी शारदा में। तो उसके बाद मेरी ग्रैंड मदर कहती थी कि भाई कुछ अंग्रेज आए, मतलब 40s का टाइम होगा, 30s का, तो वो आते थे और हमसे कई लोग तो ऐसे फ्री दे देते थे, क्योंकि घर में तो ऐसे डिफंक्ट पड़े थे ना, तो कई लोग पैसों में भी दे जाते थे। तो कहने का मतलब है कि ऐसे ही हमारे कई मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट बाहर चले। तो इसलिए मैं कहता हूँ कि अब हमारे लिए काम एक तो ये है कि एक तो सिस्टम रिवाइव करना। तो उसमें एक सबसे पहली बात है कि जैसे अभी पहले विक्रांत जी का सवाल आया था कि कैसे करें। सबसे पहले एकेडमिक्स में जैसे छोटी क्लासों में हम तो इंट्रोडक्शन, एक प्रपोजल होना चाहिए इंट्रोडक्शन, कि भाई कम से कम बच्चों में एक क्यूरियोसिटी तो हो। नंबर 2, उसके बाद कॉलेज में जाएंगे तो वहाँ एक सब्जेक्ट हो। उसके बाद तीसरा एस्पेक्ट है कि इसकी प्रिजर्वेशन और रिसर्च बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है। तो आप हैरान होंगे जान के, पीछे कई बार मैं एकेडमी ऑफ आर्ट कल्चरल लैंग्वेजेस में गया कुछ चीजों को ढूंढने, वहां से कुछ चैप्टर जो है किताबों के वो निकाल लिए गए हैं आर्काइव्स में, क्योंकि दे आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। क्योंकि 14वीं शताब्दी के पहले का सारा उन्होंने नष्ट कर दिया, चीजें हैं, दे हैव बीन डिस्ट्रॉयड और इन द डंप, आर्काइव्स में डंप किया गया है उनको। तो कोशिश यही रहेगी कि निकलें। तो आपने जो काम किया बहुत बढ़िया, तो ऐसे लोगों को काफी इससे मोटिवेशन मिलती है, तो मैं तो आपको कंग्रेचुलेट करूंगा।
थैंक यू सर।
जी बहुत धन्यवाद। अभी अन्य किसी का कोई प्रश्न है तो आप उपस्थापित कर सकते हैं। प्रायः डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र मोहन मिश्र महोदयाः अत्र सन्ति। गुरुजी ओम।
ओम।
जी प्रश्नाः अभवन् गुरुः, टिप्पण्यः अभवन्। इदानीं समापयितुं शक्यते वा?
हाँ हाँ
ओ
करो।
जी अभी इस विषय में जो श्री अरबिंदो और काश्मीर शैव शास्त्र के विषय में जो महोदय के द्वारा बहुत ही सुंदर और सरल प्रस्तुति यहाँ व्याख्यान के रूप में प्रदान की गई, और जिन्होंने भी यहाँ प्रश्न किए, टिप्पणियाँ रखी, डॉक्टर विक्रम शर्मा जी, नीलम राजदान जी, और भी अपने जिन्होंने भी यहाँ सहभागिता अपनी सुनिश्चित की जूम में और यूट्यूब लाइव के रूप में, तो उन सभी का हार्दिक धन्यवाद करते हैं हम। और अभी शांति मंत्र और कल्याण मंत्र के साथ इस व्याख्यान को यहीं संपन्न करते हैं। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। नमः सर्वेभ्यः, नमो गुरुभ्यः। ओम वंदे गुरु परंपरा।
थैंक यू ऑल। नमस्कार नमस्कार
नमस्कार
नमस्कार नमस्कार। थैंक यू सो मच।